Here's the #1 real estate investing strategy to do during a recession. We're going to be looking at the pros and cons of each 4 of these methods, picking the best one using this book, Recession Proof Real Estate Investing by Jay Scott. First up, we have fix and flip. This is when you buy a cheap property, you fix it up, and then you sell it for a higher price. Now, during a recession, from the peak to the bottom, prices are dropping. And so if you buy a house here and home prices drop to here by the time you're done with your flip, the house price that you might have assumed you were going to get the house for is actually a lot lower. This is one of the more risky ways to make money during a recession, but it is definitely doable if you are someone who has experience, who's done this plenty of times, and is budgeting for a drop in price and keeping the prices lower so you can sell quicker, because you don't want your property to sit for a long period of time. Once you hit the bottom and go all the way to the top though, flipping is going to be great because you have the market working in your favor to make it easier for you to flip properties. Next up, you have wholesaling. This is when you find a house that maybe someone would flip and you get them to agree to a contract. You're not actually buying the house. Instead, you find an investor like me, someone who's going to buy the house and do some work, and then you make a fee for the difference for finding the buyer and finding the seller. Now, because wholesale properties are typically properties that need a lot of work, they are usually properties that get fixed and flipped. So this is very much tied to how this works. If you're doing this at the peak, that's when the market's at the hottest. And so wholesaling is hard because there's not that many properties available. But at the bottom, there's so many deals that you don't necessarily need to do wholesaling. You can just find properties on the market. Let's say you got a property here and then you wholesaled it here. Wholesaling is a little bit less risky than fix and flip because you don't actually own the property, you're not putting a bunch of money into it, and usually you're flipping the property in a quicker time frame, meaning the effect of the drop will not affect you as much. But again, wholesaling is definitely doable if you get the property at a cheap enough price. During the recession, someone's still gonna buy it. Next up is buy and hold, and this is typically known as rental property investing. This is when you buy a property and the rent covers all of your costs monthly and then you're making some passive income. This one is more recession resistant than the last two because you're not typically selling a property unless if you need to. But it's harder to find good deals at the peak because everyone's overbidding on properties, and it's harder to find good deals right after the peak as we're going to the bottom because it's kind of where we are right now. Interest rates are high, but house prices haven't dropped that much, and so a lot of properties are not working out because of that exact reason. But as the market goes back up and you're holding that entire time, you're collecting on appreciation and cash flow. But if you find a good deal during these time periods and you have a good cash position, meaning you have enough cash to withstand a recession, then typically you're going to be okay with buy and hold, and it's safer than either of these two. And the last one is actually being a private lender by lending other investors money. This is when you give people money to invest and you make an interest rate, or you act as a mortgage for them on the house. And you can change your terms based on how the market is going. And so if you feel like a deal is more risky, you can ask someone to put more money down, reducing your risk. You can do a lot to reduce your risk up front as a lender than you would have been able to do in any of these strategies. Not only that, but you can diversify your money across more properties easier, doing different loan types as well. That might be for buy and hold or for fix and flip, or some even for wholesaling. If you want to invest alongside my team, comment the word invest. And if you want my free beginner guide with all of my other favorite books, just like this one, to help you get started buying your first property, comment guide. Hit the follow button for more tips for beginner real estate investors.